There's two questions I get asked more than any others. Why am I short, and why do I live in Tampa? And my answer to both of these questions is the same. Because I like it. I like being short. Feels good. Now, obviously, I'm just kidding. I'm not fooling anyone with that response, but what am I going to do about it? Not exactly something I can change, like a bad hairstyle. It's not like the result of being lazy. It's not like going to the gym more often is somehow going to magically make me taller. This is just the way the Lord 3D printed me. And I'm powerless against it, unless I want to break both of my legs and then take years of physical therapy to learn to walk again and all that, which I'm not going to do, so that's the reason I'm short. Can't help it. But my answer was honest to the second question. I live in Tampa because I like it. I know a lot of people outside of Florida view Florida as like some kind of freak show circus PvP enabled zone because of all the Florida Man stories, so people look at this place as if it's some different planet with an entirely different species of people that live here. But I was born and raised in this swamp. 29 years down here, I got that Florida Man gene embedded deep in my DNA, and boy howdy I tell ya, I don't see myself moving anywhere outside of Florida. I think even when Florida ends up entirely underwater, it'll be like the new Atlantis. The Florida people will persevere. We'll grow little gills, and we'll have our own new society underwater, and we'll still probably have Publix too. I got a little lost in the sauce here. The whole reason I'm even talking about Tampa to begin with is because of a local news story I read today, coming from my neck of the woods, and it's some pretty deplorable shit here. So I wanted to share this because it made me ashamed of my fellow Tampa enjoyers.
You are watching what cops say is a terrible crime committed by a brilliant chemist. First, he's seen filling a syringe with some sort of substance. Then he places the syringe under an apartment door.
Now, he's no Walter White or anything, but this guy is apparently a very gifted chemistry student. He was enrolled at the USF PhD program and, according to all the reports, was very gifted. And what did he do with those gifts? Well, he delivered them like Krampus to a family's doorstep and brought a lot of problems for them. So he was injecting these chemicals under their doorstep for months, and it caused the family and their newborn baby to get pretty ill.
Umar Abdullah and his wife had just had a baby. Almost immediately, they say, their downstairs neighbor, then a PhD student in chemistry, began complaining about noise.
Imagine being such a miserable piece of shit that a baby crying makes you so upset that you decide to try and assassinate the whole family because the noise is too much. Like, that's bafflingly evil. I understand that a baby crying or being noisy can be a bit annoying, but I just don't know how it can make somebody snap like this. I had an apartment in downtown Tampa, and you can only imagine the things I was hearing there. Between some occasional gunshots as well as some wackier noises. Like a long time ago, I even posted a video about how there was a whole group of frogs that used to fuck right outside of my window of where I slept. And it made it very hard to sleep because they were being real rowdy. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't go out there, take a bazooka and blow up the frogs. You know, I didn't go out there with a sledgehammer and tear up the orgy by killing all the frogs or anything. I politely knocked on the window occasionally, trying to, scare them away, like, take this business elsewhere. I also more than once would open up the door out back of my apartment in order to, like, rustle the bush that they were treating like a frat house to get them away. But the thing is, it never elicits such an extreme response. I get noisy neighbors are frustrating. Like, neighbors above you that are just slamming around, like, throwing bowling balls back and forth, just causing a ruckus at all types of odd hours. It's a headache. But this is not the same situation in the first place. It's a baby. It's a newborn baby. Obviously, it's going to cry from time to time. That's how babies work. That's just how it is. Like, I just can't imagine the lunacy here to do something like this, which is basically attempted murder, fundamentally, I would say. It's just fucking crazy.
That's him skulking outside the apartment in Tampa.
After my daughter was born, right after we came back from hospital, he started complaining.
Then the family began smelling chemicals pervading the apartment. Everyone, including the baby, started getting sick.
Psychopath energy just rolls up so casually, like this is just routine. Another walk in the park. No, business as usual. Gets the syringe out and then just blasts it under the door. I'm also a little surprised nobody else saw him do this. I guess I don't know how many residents there are in the area, but like he walks around with the vial and syringe out. And no one really stopped to question that around the premises, that is. Or I guess maybe it's possible, since we only see him at the top of the stairs, he brought it out right before the camera catches him. But yeah, just very nonchalant about what is basically attempted murder.
Became overwhelming, and that's when the new dad decided to install a hidden camera. At first, the surveillance video caught just a glimpse of the suspect. The next day, when the camera was repositioned, this happened, and the terrifying truth came out. Initial toxicology reports from police say the substance being pumped into their apartment consists of 2 strong opioids, methadone and hydrocodone.
Now, to further explain, the family was aware of the chemical odor that was permeating through their residence, and they tried everything to get rid of it. They checked all the pipes, everything. Eventually, the landlord even replaced their water heater, thinking that that could have been a culprit, maybe something gone awry, malfunctioning in the water heater, leading to that smell. But the smell never went away, and they kept getting sick. The husband noted vomiting. It was just not a good set of circumstances. And that smell that smelled smelly just kept coming back. So eventually, the husband got a hidden camera that he could set up outside in a plant, just in case it could help lead to some kind of clues on where this smell was coming from. And that's when they learned who the villain was behind the smell. It was their neighbor that is still seemingly upset that a baby cries. Nobody tell him that he was also once a cringe baby that was making crying noises too, because he'd lose his goddamn mind on it, I guess. He's still upset about it, so then he turned to biological warfare.
The suspect is identified as Xiuming Li, who got his PhD in chemistry at the University of South Florida.
Abdullah says he got his family out of the house and then immediately called police. Li was arrested and charged with multiple counts, including possession of a controlled substance and aggravated stalking.
This is a situation that, had this not been ultimately caught, could have resulted in someone dying.
It's scary to think that something as simple as your newborn baby crying was almost a death sentence for this family, or their child at the very least, because it's a newborn. It's not exactly the best things to be inhaling, hydrocodone and methadone. Now, I'm not exactly the most familiar with these substances, as shocking as that is to hear, but it certainly sounds pretty dangerous to me. So I'm happy the family got to the bottom of it. Hopefully there's no lasting side effects from this whole ordeal on them. Hopefully everything's just smooth sailing from here. And yeah, this is just upsetting for all of Tampa. This isn't what we're about down here. Tampa is a place known for many great things, like bath salts and good neighbors. And this guy was not a good neighbor. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this a little bit just because I saw it. It's in Tampa. It's super weird. Anytime there's a Tampa-related crime, it feels personal for me as a resident of Tampa. It feels like, how could you? We're better than this, damn it. You're giving Tampa a bad name. Like, I just feel disappointed. Like, just genuinely disappointed.